Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Guys, I have such a good show for you. We are continuing on with Betrayal. Why am I dressed like this? Because today we're picking up chapter 39, Vancouver, the Invictus Games. So I dressed. By the way, I love my Canadian geese, honk honk, but I dressed like I'm going to Invictus in Vancouver. So there you go. Oh, this chapter was good. Oh, Cantankerous, what are you doing? Oh, he's got his ski goggles on. He's ready to compete. Let's do this thing, Cantankerous. All right, you sit right here. Try to behave yourself. All right, hold on. You can't even see him. There you go. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're getting into Vancouver. And normally I start with a chapter synopsis, but I'm just going to read you the very first sentence. Ready? Very first sentence from this chapter. Meghan needed a global stage for genuine admiration and cheering fans. That's the first sentence. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's do this thing. All right. If you're new here, I'm Jen. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the thumbs up, and leave me comments, as all of those helps YouTube to recommend my videos, and I sincerely appreciate it. And I sincerely appreciate all of you. My good friend gave me this hat. I love it so much. Thank you so much, good friend. If you're watching, I appreciate that. So I put on my winter hat and I'm ready to do some winter games and talk about those idiots in Vancouver. So yeah, let's get into the chapter overview, and then I'm going to look down at my notes and tell you some of my favorite quotes from this one. But again, the title of this one is Vancouver. It picks up on page 350 if you're reading along with me. The overall chapter is about the vibe of this trip. Harry and Meghan, of course, attended as private citizens, but they attended with full VIP, heavy security, constant media coverage that focused more on them than the wounded veterans, of course. And as we find out in the second paragraph, quote, Meghan insists on mom. I never say that right. In American South, we would say that ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But I believe in the UK, if you're addressing like Her Majesty the Queen or something, it would be mom. M-A''A''M. So Meghan insists on mom, and Harry should be called sir. So that's Nick Booth, chief executive of the Invictus Games, saying that. Just so you know. All right. So again, that's the overall vibe that sets the tone, so you know what we're in for on this trip. Bauer describes the event as feeling less like a veteran sports competition and more like a Sussex PR tour. What else is new? Meghan was heavily featured in photos, red carpet style appearances, and all kinds of media moments. There were multiple reports and insider accounts noted that she frequently positioned herself as the main attraction, with many veterans and staff feeling the focus had shifted away from the athletes. I always say the same. Can you name a single athlete? Me neither. I watched that Invictus documentary too, and I couldn't tell you. Meghan was drawing criticism for being tone deaf and inappropriate because of all the, quote, glamorous high fashion outfits. You can decide if that's the case, but I believe it was the price tag that had people going, what? There were specific controversial moments, including allegations of lateness, disorganized scheduling that affected veterans events, reports of tense or awkward interactions behind the scenes, with staff feeling pressured to prioritize those two. I don't like to say Sussex. Those two image. The couple's heavy security presence and demands created a bubble, which allegedly some veterans found off-putting and disconnected from the spirit of Invictus. There's just a lot of stuff like that going on. The hypocrisy, as always. Harry, he helped to found that. I know. I always get kickback on that. He wasn't necessarily the founder. It was created for him to celebrate wounded veterans and promote resilience and service. Yet the 2025 games often felt like a vehicle for Harry and Meghan's personal branding and celebrity status. They constantly preach humility, service, and supporting veterans, but their behavior and their heavy self-promotion made the event feel more about them than anything else. So, yeah, it sounds right. All right, let's talk controversies and backlash, and I'll get into some of the quotes from it. The trip sparked widespread online debate and media criticism about whether Meghan's involvement was helping or hurting Invictus. I have an answer to that. I bet you have an answer to that. Some veterans and former participants publicly and privately expressed frustration that those two, celebrity, had begun to overshadow the core mission. Fashion and optics criticism, especially Meghan's outfits, went viral, with many calling the choices tone deaf and inappropriate for a veterans event. Of course, this chapter has fueled ongoing discussion about whether Harry's continued involvement with Invictus is still beneficial or if their brand has become a liability to the games themselves. I can answer that, and I'm sure you can too. All right, let's talk, because there's some controversy here. Picking up on page 350, again, right off the bat, it was that sir and ma'am. Like, who do you think you are? What if people just refused? Like, what if people just refused? What if they didn't? What if they're like, Hank, Skank, you're needed over here? There were two Canadian executives that sound like they got the boot right before Harry and Meghan showed up. And they talk about this guy, Booth. What's his first name? Nick Booth. Okay. He's the chief executive of the games. Bauer did a lovely explanation of him, saying he was, where is it? He had been parachuted into the post. The reason he was in there is because two executives branded the Sussexes pushy and were upset about their, quote, exorbitant expenses for security, accommodation, and a private jet. Booth was classified as, quote, a sycophant by the ousted executives. So you get the idea. Somebody was put in place that could accommodate those two. Why? Why is that happening? I don't know. Okay, this is the part I would like to read to you because I found it a little bit vague, and I want to play a game with you. Here we go. I'm going to read this one. It's actually, I think, like 2 sentences. I'm going to read 2 sentences to you. I want you to listen to what I'm saying and write in the comments what you think this means. I have an idea of what this means, but what does this mean to you? Ready? Again, this is on the first page of this chapter. Let's see. Now they're talking about this Booth guy. Okay, again, his name is Nick Booth. As Harry's doorkeeper, Booth used the prince, alias an attractive asset, as a fundraiser to secure more money. The games had been $30 million underfunded to arrange TV coverage and tilt the media's focus firmly toward the glamour of Harry and Meghan. What now? I take that to mean that I've read it a couple of different ways. I'm just going to say allegedly and in my opinion. I'm not trying to speculate. No, I am. I'm just telling you what I think Bauer meant, but maybe I have this wrong. Tell me if you think I have this wrong. Okay, here goes. I'm just wondering. It sounds like it's not that the 30 million wasn't raised. It's that however much it costs to put on this game, I don't care. But 30 million of whatever it costs, I'm just picking an arbitrary number. Let's say it's 60 million. 30 million of it, instead of going to funding, it was spent to arrange TV coverage and tilt the media's focus firmly toward the glamour of Harry and Meghan. Is that how you're understanding it? Because that is crazy. Let me just see. Hold on. How much did it cost to put on the Vancouver Invictus Games? Oh, here you go. So I just straight up Googled it, and according to Google, it says 63.2 million Canadian dollars. It was supported by significant contributions from the Canadian federal and British Columbia provincial governments, which pledged over 30 million combined alongside sponsorship and ticket revenue. So they're reporting the final budget was 63.2 million. So I'm going to read this to you one more time and think about what I'm saying, and if you feel the same way as me. Ready? Just the pertinent part. The games had been 30 million underfunded to arrange TV coverage and tilt the media's focus firmly toward the glamour of Harry and Meghan. So again, I'm just playing hypothetical. If they raised 63 million, you're telling me 30 million of it went to the games itself and the other 30 million to cover Harry and Meghan's Look at Me campaign? Because if that's the case, and if I understand that correctly, that's even more sickening than I realized. I'm sitting here focused on why do they have so much spotlight? Why so much time on them? Why so much focus on them? Why? That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible if that's the case. If they diverted 30 million, half the budget, again, maybe I have this wrong, if they diverted half the budget to look at themselves, people should be outraged over this. Everybody should be outraged over this. But I would say if you're Canadian, hello, my Canadian geese, Hong Kong. That's what I'm guessing, because it said it came from the government. So what taxes went to? That's absolutely sickening and awful, isn't it? Ugh, terrible. Okay, continuing on. Meghan, okay, so according to, again, they keep referring back to the two ousted executives, the two that were ousted, it sounds like right before that Booth took over. They thought Meghan was, quote, distraction from the injured veterans. She's bling, not rehabilitation. Is she bling? I get what they're saying. Yeah, exactly. What's the point? I don't know. But then Bauer goes into that Harry cannot, again, this is an ongoing theme throughout the book. It's something I've discussed. Harry and Meghan sounds like cannot make decisions to save them lives. We try that again. To save their lives. Save them lives. That's my new expression. Don't steal it. Okay, you can steal it. To save them lives. No, seriously, to save their own lives, they cannot make a decision. So once again, that's what they're going into. He can't decide whether the Invictus Games should be styled on like the Olympics or if it should be more like the the Warrior Games. I believe it is Wounded Warrior. Okay, the Warrior Games, which is more about embracing the military family. So they're kind of halfway in between. And as a result, the media is ignoring it because, in my words, it looks like a chaotic mess. And I'm going back to, if that's the case, and half of the funding went to film Harry and Meghan doing stuff, obviously it's a chaotic mess. Who is in charge over there? I don't know. There were other people that were echoing this criticism, saying that it's been disappointing because it sounds like to me the way Harry and Meghan are mismanaging this thing. Looking at you, Harry, you're allowing this to happen. It's become the Harry and Meghan show. People are it sounds like they're disappointed. And they're acknowledging that because of this, the media is ignoring it and not. And do you see how that's a big cycle of effects? Because then they're not bringing in as much attention or, financial backing to actually help the veterans because it's the Harry and Meghan show. So at the start of the games, Harry and Meghan rolled up in that golf cart. You remember that? Bauer points out that they're cheering for Harry and forgot, I'm sure it's just an oversight, to cheer for the other one. Meghan's introduction of Harry focused on her giving her children breakfast. I remember that too. That was after, the previous one was about giving them milkshakes. Again, if you're a real parent I'm pointing to myself, a real parent in the trenches, you don't need to brag about stuff like that because you're just doing it every day. It's just part of life. You don't have to think about it. But if it's a novelty that you're not really doing, then maybe you would think to mention something like that. But it says, quote, the Meghan Games had launched. So he does go into the opening ceremony. The first speech given by Harry seemed to be pretty heartfelt and well received, but that was about the end of that. The rest of it was garbage. Meghan would take over and, of course, make it about herself. That's when we saw her planting kisses on him. Remember that? Like right at the beginning. She kissed her prince. One kiss on the face. And I think she did the weird where she does that. And it's like, what are you doing? It's so weird. But she'll do, it's like, okay, weirdo. She kissed him, one kiss on the face, and then when he rose to make a speech and stood up with her hands cupped around his face, plonked a kiss on his lips. That's right. She does that. Oh, I was gonna do, but I don't think they're doing that. Never mind. Okay, keep your tongue in your mouth. One observer called it her quote limpet cling. I think that's pretty good. Struck a besotted pose, a gesture of ownership that speaks to enduring bonding. I don't think ownership and enduring bonding go together. That's just my opinion. Okay, let's get into some weirdness now. They start off, there's an opening basketball match between Nigeria and the United States. Okay. According to Bauer, there were 43 ticket buying spectators for this event. 43. The hall had seats for over 2,000 people. They had 43. On the other side of the court, about 100 people were brought in by the organizers and corralled to surround those two when they eventually arrived. So that way, in the edited TV pictures and, the curated clips and all that stuff, they would look like, oh yeah, it's full and they're surrounded by normies, whatever. No, it's people brought in. But don't worry, it gets even weirder than that. Let's see, there's another. Here we go. The Sussex PR machine went to work. And according to Tom Bauer, the media, of course, did not reveal the truth. I just want to point that out. So Harry's like, media, but he needs the media. He needs the media to cover this stuff, but he uses it to cover himself and his Instagram-loving wife. So what did they do? The media chose not to reveal the truth, that Invictus's 2,000 yellow-shirted volunteers around the deserted convention center outnumbered the paying spectators about 20-1. This was not at the basketball thing. This is a different thing. So yeah, they had, we kind of wondered if they had plans. We had heard that some of the squad was brought in. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, like it's a secret. Some of the squad was brought in because they're big old jerks. And I wish that Tom Bauer had gone into that. So those two were staying at a hotel across the street, it sounds like. Tom Bauer points out that even though they were across the street, they still had a car bring them in. What? Okay, sure. The PR machine was at work. Basically, these events had very little attendance. So what did they do? They brought in 2,000 yellow-shirted volunteers. This is on page 354. Around the deserted convention center to make it seem like it wasn't such a flop. So they figured out that these yellow-shirted volunteers outnumbered the paying spectators about 20-1. Again, that's Harry. I'm saying Harry, but they're focused on the wrong thing. They're only worried about optics. They're not worried about if this can actually help people, bring in money to help people. What does this mean? Why are they getting this so wrong? What needs to be changed? Things like that. Always, they are of no substance. They're only about the optics. Isn't that crazy pants? Then Tom Bauer gets into, there's this gentleman, I know his name is Marquise, but I don't know. Anyway, this gentleman from Nigeria had been dying to talk to Meghan and Harry. So he had waited his turn. And it sounds like they just kind of brushed him off. Harry swung a handshake and rushed to speak to somebody else. And Meghan just kind of, bye. What it was Nigeria had this ambition to host the 2029 games. And it sounded like Harry and Meghan had kind of made it seem like, yeah, Nigeria. Yeah, that's my family. Remember how Meghan was talking? They didn't want to talk to him. It sounds like, according to Tom Bauer, Harry had already made up his mind, quote, that it would be staged in America at the 2029 games. Doesn't say where. So deflated, he left the hall. 10 minutes later, Meghan and Harry returned to their penthouse suite. So that was an ongoing theme. They would show up just for a little bit, get photographed, and kick it back out of there. A lot of times she would change clothes and then announce it to people about what outfit she was in. Again, Tom Bauer explained in a previous chapter, a lot of times she did that. So that way she'd hope to make, royalties or whatever off the links. So again, that's where their head is at. You can't just wear a Invictus branded polo shirt or what, just like a workout jacket. You need to spend however much insane amount of money on a new outfit every 10 minutes in hopes you'll make some money off the clicks. It's disgusting. It really is. Really is. Why? Why is she there? Why? I mean, why are both of them there, honestly? But if you have to have him, why is she there? I would feel so weird if I was just there. You know what I mean? Like, and if I'm there, you better believe I'm going to do everything in my power to get attention for the people that need it, not myself. You put on the branded merch, you put on a pair of jeans and tennis shoes, and you know what I mean? And you just, whatever, you get people bottles of water. That's what you do. You don't, that's what normal people do. That's what Catherine would do. You know, you don't do what these two idiots are doing. All right. So the following day they did, oh, before I switch to that, you know what irritated me a little bit? You know, I love Bauer and I'm not trying to talk crap about him. He never did talk about the Sussex squad. This was where the Sussex squad, in my opinion, seemed to accost him. They were not nice to him. I've talked about that. We've seen the video where he thought that somebody was saying hi and he walked over and was smiling and friendly and they were talking crap about him. It was the squad. And he was just sitting there spectating. He wasn't doing anything. And I wish he did not talk about it at all. And I wish he had. I was hoping to get some inside scoop. Like, you know, so-and-so did this. And then I saw them later in cahoots with Meghan and Harry. Something like that. I just wanted a little bit of detail. And he didn't give it. And I wish he had. I got to figure that's on purpose for some reason. But I just wish he had gone into that a little bit. I don't know. He didn't. But continuing on, then they go to Whistler after that. And they were talking about, I say teasing because I don't believe anything they said. They were talking about being excited and excited to be in the mountains. And then they disappeared. It sounds like they disappeared before these like Canadian Air Force bomber thundered over the sky. It's a whole thing. They're like, okay, we're out. So it just seemed to be about the optics. What I'm thinking about is, remember Meghan walked in with her hat on and she was like, she saw Cantankerous. Do you mind? No, he doesn't mind. So if Cantankerous is the cameraman, remember she walks by and she's like smiling and stuff and like being like this at the camera. It's like, oh my God, get over yourself. All right, stay there, Cantankerous. Wait, you can't see Cantankerous. Hold on. Here we go. There we go. All right, Cantankerous, you're looking good, buddy. All right. And then from there, he says, bring on Invictus Birmingham 2027. He shouted that days later at the game's closing ceremony. So there really wasn't much else to the games. I was hoping for a little bit more because remember, didn't one of them did the bobsled or something like that? I mean, but no, it just ends here. I think it's more about the build up to Birmingham and how little they care about the athletes themselves, just about themselves. Allow myself to introduce myself. That's from Austin Powers. But they only cared about themselves, not the athletes. So I believe that's where we're headed with this in the lead up to Birmingham. He mentions that we're headed towards something with that, you know, with Harry and the British government and all that. And this is my opinion. He doesn't say this, but he had kind of hinted toward it before. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder in terms of Harry and this Birmingham thing. I think it's all just a trap to try to make King Charles look bad. Because think about it. If he shows up, Harry's going to be a prick. And if he doesn't show up, Harry's going to be a prick. That's just my opinion. But I think he'll be like, where was King? Because any chance he can to make his dad look bad or to talk bad about his dad, that seems to be his favorite thing to do. So I think Harry's just going to use it as an excuse. I think King Charles is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. I don't think he'll show up, though. I don't. All right. Few journalists stayed in Vancouver to see Justin Trudeau as he showed up to help close the ceremony. Only hours after Meghan's appearance in Whistler, the media had lost all interest in the games. So at first when I read that, I was like, well, they're not interested in Meghan. But then I started thinking about what I read earlier. So if I understand that correctly, and a big portion of the budget or half the budget was spent on media coverage of those two, well, then they would leave when Meghan left, right? That sickens me so much. I don't even know why I'm surprised, but oh, can you imagine? Imagine you're the family member of, I don't know, somebody in one of the games, and you realize nobody's buying tickets because those two are ruining it. It's not getting the attention because those two are ruining it. It's not getting the funding because those two are ruining it. Your person that you're there to support, or people or whatever, can't even have, a moment to be honored and recognized because those two are whatever, making out on stage and talking about milkshakes or whatever they're doing. And then the media is paid to follow them, or, or what, I can't say paid, maybe allegedly, paid to follow them around. That is horrible all the way around, all the way around. Awful. Imagine what would happen. I'm not trying to take away the games from the actual wounded veterans. That's not what I mean. But what if they didn't do the games? What if they took that 60 million that they raised and just dumped it into actual programs outside of Harry and Meghan that helped servicemen and women? But then Harry and Meghan wouldn't be able to get on stage and pretend to make out and talk about kids' milkshakes. Anyway, the chapter ends with a bang, just like it started with a bang, and it says, quote, Meghan had unexpectedly flown back to Santa Barbara in a private jet. A new crisis had burst. I haven't read ahead, so I don't know what the crisis is yet, but I'm here for it. The next chapter is Meghan is as ever, so I'm sure it'll be juicy, and I can't wait. But I'm going to end this one here. This was a good chapter. The next chapter is really big, so I thought I'd knock this one out, talk about it. I'm a little bummed that he didn't go. I really wanted to know what happened with the Sugars or the mediocre mafia at this thing, what they said to him exactly. I mean, we saw the video. This hat is hot. What happened? I'm trying to make my hair less messy. Here you go. What happened with the mediocre mafia? What happened afterwards? Was there any fallout? No, I doubt it. What happened with Tom Bauer? Did they follow him around much after that? What were his thoughts on it? I want to know stuff like that. I'm a little bummed that he didn't. If I had the chance to ask him a question, I would like to ask him a little bit about that. And what else? I would ask Tom Bauer, what else did he see going on? I mean, I feel like he put it in the book, but what else? Did he see anything else going on at this thing? We talked about Harry and Meghan kind of fluttering in and fluttering out. What happens when they're not there? I mean, it sounds like there were not many spectators in the seats anyway. So, man, I just feel for the athletes. I really do. It's awful. All right, that's going to do it for me. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think of Cantankerous with his ski goggles. Oh, Cantankerous, you're losing your ski goggles. This is him skiing. All right, let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, I appreciate you all so much. I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. I truly hope you all have the best day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Of course, if you want to further support this show, check out my merch, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps, and click my Amazon links because all those help support the channel, and I appreciate that. And that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have the best day, and check back soon for the very next chapter. We're almost out of chapters. I think there's just 3 left. 4 left, 3 left. I don't know. Not many. Don't worry, we'll get through this together. And I've had a couple of you ask me to give my thoughts at the end of the overall book. I can absolutely do that. You better believe it. All right, that's going to do it for me. Take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hi, how are you guys? This hat is warm, but I love it. My friend gave it to me. I think it's so cute. Thank you, friend. So cute. Anyway, those pricks. I mean, you take it like that too. Like they diverted 30 million to arrange TV coverage. I've never arranged TV coverage like that. So, I mean, I guess it just does. I was like, does it buy you much? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It didn't work for them because they came out. I mean, I remember the coverage was, they weren't favorably reported on. So Yeah, that's pretty. I just don't know. Sorry, I have an eyelash that's driving me crazy. I don't know how you sleep. I mean, I don't know how they sleep at night anyway, but I don't know how you sleep knowing you spent half the budget on yourself to look good and be on camera. That's pretty despicable, isn't it? All right, that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for being here. Let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.